Florida's recount continues to be final. Jim Acosta wins a great victory for Jim Acosta. And we check the mailbag. I'm Ben Shapiro. This is The Ben Shapiro Show. Well, Jim Acosta wins a big victory against the Trump administration, which means he is going to bust into that next press conference like the Kool-Aid man right through the wall. He's going to be like, oh, yeah. So that's
real funny, man. That's real funny, man. You're so funny, Ben Shapiro.
But I know. Stop yourself. Don't hurl yourself from the nearest building. I'll explain legally in just a second. But first.
Explain legally how Ben Shapiro is so funny.
Why have I been thinking about that? Well, because I've been hacking up a lung. That made me think, well, I'm sure glad that I have health insurance and life insurance, more importantly, because life insurance means that if I should plot, if I should die, then my family will be taken care of. And that will certainly be a good thing. Right now, you can get life insurance.
Oh, I know.
Policy Genius. You know, it's kind of...
Yeah, you're a policy genius. Yeah, if you're such a policy genius, how come you couldn't get Ted Cruz in the election chair?
2 minutes. Find the best policy for you. And when you compare quotes, if you save money, it is indeed that simple.
Never Trumper! Never Trumper! Never Trumper! Never Trump! Never Trump!
It's easy. They also do disability insurance and auto insurance and home insurance. If you care about it, they can cover it. So, if you've been avoiding getting life insurance because it's difficult or confusing, give Policy Genius a try. Just go to policygenius.com, get your quotes in 5 minutes. You can do the whole thing on your phone right now. Policy Genius is the easy way to compare and buy life insurance.
Yeah, you're a policy genius, Ben Shapiro. Yeah, you're really a policy genius.
Today with the latest from Florida, where I think the plan is to just recount this election result forever. And then Florida won't be a problem for us anymore. We won't have any new elections.
Died, you've died.
Florida has
okay, it's the biggest Wesley
several thousand votes, and the same thing is true for Ron DeSantis. That has not stopped Democrats from flipping the election stolen from them. You remember just a couple.
Well, yeah, but Ron DeSantis won. The election's off. They're not hadn't recounted his votes, dummy. They only hadn't recounted the Rick Scott race with Bill Nelson.
Because they want to.
Go.
Further extending a high-stakes partisan battle over every last vote in Florida's crucial U.S. Senate race, following a 5-day machine recount of the more than 8.3 million votes cast in the November 6th elections. Bill Nelson, Governor Rick Scott, and also the race for agriculture. Counties, 3 days before. And then you filled in another. Right? I just have a general problem with this. Learn how to vote. If you don't know how to vote, go get another ballot. Like, seriously. You don't get to do this on your Scantron SAT, right? The SAT or the ACT.
You don't get to keep.
If you don't know how to fill out a bubble, of the people of the United States. It's not entirely clear how many undervotes exist in the U.S.
How many undervotes exist has been Shapiro.
Between 35,000 and 100,000. So this is your problem. But having a bunch
of this is your problem. Yeah, what about the dummies here in Florida? What about the dummies, Ben? Yeah, we can't vote. But county's full of these dummies.
Could go a long way toward deciding whether Nelson is reelected or Scott ascends from governor to U.S. senator. Florida law requires a machine recount for any race decided by 1/2 of 1 percentage point or less. All 3 races, this would be the agricultural race, the gubernatorial race, and the Senate race, all 3 races were within the margins when election supervisors submitted their unofficial results Saturday to the state. Am I suspicious of this process? You damn well, yes. I'm so suspicious of the process because
I've been voted. Say the words, Benny. Voter fraud. Vote fraud. fraud, man.
People are going,
It's not that difficult. Say voter
It's
fraud.
not there to support the idea that voter fraud is widespread in deciding elections. However, Democrats are attempting now to engage in voter fraud when they extend.
Hey, that's voter fraud. You actually said, Benny. Good for you, man. You actually said voter fraud. Good for you, man. Voter fraud. Yeah.
After Florida's election left top state races too close to call, a Democratic Party leader directed staffers and volunteers in 3 top races. But an email obtained by the USA Today network, Florida, shows that Florida Democrats organized a broader state effort after the November 8th deadline. So the idea was they were sending people forms saying, you want to secure your vote? You want to make sure that your vote gets. When it comes to absentee ballots, the deadline is November 5th. Otherwise, you are supposed to show up at the polls. Is the actual election deadline. This is what Democrats today claim, that all of this was a provision. Maybe we do want to extend the election deadline. The idea was to have voters fix and submit as many absentee ballots as possible with the altered forms in hopes of later including them in vote totals if a judge...
Including them in vote totals. That's what they do, man. Include them in vote totals.
A move that could open the door for these ballots returned with altered forms to be counted. Okay, just because there's a judge who's okaying election fraud does not mean it is not election fraud. And election fraud does not necessarily mean that you are casting a vote in fraudulent fashion in the sense that you are voting for another person or voting for a dead person, like in Chicago or something. If I vote on November 11th, election, I am now committing election fraud.
That's right, it's election fraud, Ben. You're right, Benny. Give you a cookie. You right got it, Ben.
Election is over. Election fraud. And this sort of stuff is...
Election fraud, Ben. That's right. You know what it is, Ben. Even you're smart enough to figure that one out. Mr. Going to college early, Ben Shapiro.
Mandatory machine recount under state election.
16 years old? Yeah, of course you can figure that one out, Ben.
Submitted its results 2 minutes past the 3 p.m. deadline on Thursday. We uploaded to the state 2 minutes late. So the state has chosen not to use our machine.
2 minutes late, Ben. That means don't be late. You got 2 minutes late.
Said Joe D'Alessandro, an electing official. Well, why did that happen? Because there was a difference.
It's like a bedtime story to tell your kid about how Florida got election fraud. And Florida people don't know how to vote, Ben Shapiro.
Anyone really believed that if Rick Scott had lost votes in the machine recounts in Broward County, would not have been counted? That they would have submitted it 2 minutes late? Does anyone really believe that? All of this really does raise serious questions about... And not only that, over in Georgia...
And not only that...
to claim over and over without any evidence that Stacey Abrams' new election not going to be
what's over down there? You get a new election. You get a new election. You'll get a new election. You'll get a new election. You'll get a new election.
Legal challenge in the unresolved Georgia governor's race. That could leave the
Georgia governor's race. The Georgia peaches.
round of voting.
There's not peaches now.
The Democrats
They're just spoiled little rotten tomatoes.
a high-stakes contest. It is being discussed as Georgia elections officials appear to be on the cusp of certifying Republican Brian Kemp as the winner of a bitterly fought campaign that's been marred by charges.
Brian Kemp is a pimp. Brian Kemp is a pimp.
And yet we're hearing that it's Republican, like President Trump, undermining electoral integrity. Oh, those... I am easy on Jake Tapper is because I think I'm trying to be objective about Jake Tapper. When he does stuff I don't like, I don't bring anything about it. Now, I do have Jake Tapper. No, I'm easy on Jake Tapper is because I think I'm trying to be objective about Jake Tapper. When he does stuff I don't like, I notice. But when he does stuff that's right, he deserves praise. There was Jake Tapper.
I don't know what you're doing anymore.
Race. Good for Jake Tapper.
Well, take a listen.
Good for Jake Tapper. But Jay Tepper's still a schmuck working for the Democratic Party, trying to smear Republicans. He doesn't have good intentions, Ben. Wow. Sorry, Shapiro. You're actually going to give Jay Tepper some credit.
They stole it. It's clear. It's clear.
If she'd had a fair election, she already would
have.
Any difference from what the Matt Gaetzes and Donald Trumps of the world are doing?
Okay, and this is exactly right. The only difference is that Trump has more evidence of Florida election malfeasance than Stacey Abrams does. That's not stopping the Democrats from calling for new elections.
New elections, man. New elections, man.
It'll ruin the legitimacy. We're now
ruin the legitimacy of an election cycle.
Spare me all of your hysterics about Republicans violating electoral integrity. Okay, in just a second, I want to talk a little bit more about what's going to happen.
In just a second.
Plus, I need to get to the big ruling today on Jim Acosta, who loves him some
In
Jim
just
Acosta. Let's talk about your internet security and privacy. Okay, as a public figure, I'm constantly worried about being or bad. And I don't want my emails compromised or my credit card stolen or my credit card number taken. Yet that happens to hundreds of millions of people every year. So how can you protect yourself? Well, the company I trust to defend my online security and privacy is ExpressVPN.
ExpressVPN. What's up, sport? Back to the Ben Shapiro show.
Know their candidate lost. Kind of easy to do that. Lots of people are going to say, you know what? I was really meaning to vote, but then
I was really mean to vote.
Kind of voter fraud, sorta, and not great. Okay, Abrams would then decide whether to go to court under a Georgia election law.
Like the Oregon Georgia law, man.
Change or place in doubt the results. The legal team is considering all the options. The state challenge would be the most drastic.
State challenge would be the most drastic, yeah, Ben.
A pretty high bar in order for her to depend on that statute. Kemp's campaign has already shifted into transition mode, and they are right to do so. Unofficial returns show Kemp with about 50.2% of more than 3.9 million votes, which puts him about 18,000 votes above the threshold required to win by a majority, and he's some 53,000 votes ahead of Stacey Abrams. There is no way she can make that up.
There's no way she can make that up, except she did make it up, Ben. She made it up. She made it up. This whole election's a made up story about how she got screwed over and they stole the race from her. It's all made up. She didn't win.
It's illegitimate because Hillary Clinton lost. We've heard them rail against the Senate itself because the Senate is somehow illegitimate because Democrats don't run it. We've heard them rail against the Supreme Court. Talk about packing the Supreme Court because they don't control the Supreme Court in the same way that they once did. We have heard them rail about pretty much every aspect of the American electoral system over the last 2 years, and then meanwhile complain that President Trump is undermining the integrity of America.
Yeah, undermining the integrity.
Case 1 in their exhibit.
Yeah, undermining. That's right, Ben, undermining.
They have is a judge who just sided against the White House regarding Jim Acosta. So here is the latest on
Jim Acosta. I need some more Jim Acosta.
Trump basically doing an op-ed that Trump was supposed to rebut.
Most of a butt.
Acosta sort of pulled away, and then Trump we should have done before that, and then Acosta handed over the microphone. As I said, if you want to he was essentially violating the rule of Jim Acosta is a grandstander.
Just
because Trump then revoked his press pass. In the process, they put his hands on an intern by yelling at the president's order. As I said, man.
Other
members of the press corps who are similarly anti-Trump, and their press pass has not been revoked. April Ryan comes to mind, who's been extraordinarily anti-Trump. But there's a ruling today. It came down from federal judge Timothy Kelly, who is a Trump appointee, and he was appointed by a 94-2 vote. Federal Judge Kelly sided with CNN on Friday morning. He ordered the White House to reinstate Jim Acosta's press pass immediately.
Reinstate Jim Acosta's press pass.
The suit alleges CNN and Acosta's First and Fifth Amendment rights were being violated by suspension of his press pass. Here was Jim Acosta's response, and then I want to get into the actual legalities of this ruling.
Everybody, thanks for coming. I just want to say something very briefly, and that is I want to thank all of my colleagues in the press.
I want to thank all my colleagues in the press. I want to thank all my colleagues in the press. I think I got away with another one, and I'm going to make Trump sit there and have to take back the press pass.
Look at that man. I mean, that man, he's basically, I mean, it's like Gideon's trumpet right here. I mean, this guy is just defending First Amendment rights. The guy just has...
Yeah, the guy is just so smart right there, man. He's just so smart,
That's what's going
man.
on here. It's not just an ego play by Jim Acosta, this entire thing.
It's not just an ego play by Jim Acosta. It's not just an ego play by Jim Acosta, man.
He's the classiest of us. He really is. Okay, so what exactly did the judge rule? Well, it's not actually what the judge ruled. So, of Jim Acosta's First Amendment rights. Well, actually, the First Amendment. A final, actual. It's not actually a final.
That's right, man. You don't get to act there, Willie, and still have a press
Watching
pass.
the president on TV or by calling sources within the White House. Burnham also explained that Trump's rationale for the Acosta's ban was his rudeness at last week's
His rudeness. That's right, Ben. He was rude, Ben.
Described the ban on the reporter as arbitrary.
He was rude.
Is it viewpoint discrimination to ban Jim Acosta? Right, that is question number one. And question number two was this a violation of due process? Explanation of the rule that related to Acosta's press pass. The judge in this particular case said that due process was violated, but he didn't amendment issue. The White House's decision making was so shrouded in mystery that the government could not. The White House has written arguments for banning process and Kelly. So there are people saying today the White House doesn't need to have a due process for removing his press pass. I think that that's misstated. Somebody there has to be some process for removing it fulfilled. You can't be.
Yeah, just because you feel like it, you can't just keep on just because you feel like it, man.
I even agree with the idea that this could have been construed, as I say, as a viewpoint discrimination issue, but that is not a case that the court actually reached. There's a temporary restraining order. The judge didn't reach the First Amendment question, but CNN is saying a major precedent was set for the future of a free press. It was not. Okay, no major precedent.
No,
Let me explain
CNN.
that in just 1 second. So, no major precedent was set here because in order for a precedent to have been set here, there would have had to have been a ruling saying that you can't ban anyone from the White House press corps for any reason having to do with any sort of behavior. Right? That would have been a major precedent. But that's not what it said. What they said is, we need to know how you came to this decision. Since we don't know how you came to this decision, it looks arbitrary and capricious, and therefore a violation of due process. Okay. Again, I don't think it's the world's strongest ruling, I don't think it's the world's weakest ruling, but I don't think that, again, it's completely unjustified. I think that a stronger ruling, and listen, the reason that I'm defending the ruling a little bit here is because there will be when Democrat will be using this to ban reporters from the White House without due process. Somebody gets Kamala Harris a question, God forbid, president, and she says,
It doesn't matter, Ben. It doesn't matter, Ben. It doesn't matter, man.
So, would I rather have Jim Acosta making an ass of himself in the press room than have there be a precedent and whoever appeases? Yeah, I really would.
No, I wouldn't, Ben. You're wrong, Benny boy. Jim Acosta is a rude ass punk. You're wrong, man. What's wrong with you? He should be banned. If you're rude, you should be banned. To be evidence that he should be banned.
State the reporter's hard pass.
So the judge made the wrong rules. back it up that he should be banned. It's not like Fox News was kicked out a couple of times by Obama. There was no evidence of any wrongdoing. He just didn't like a question.
Abide by any rules of decency in any of this. So, is this?
This is a big deal, not a little deal, Ben. Benny boy.
New York has been hit by some snow, and it left commuters stranded for up to 12 hours. Well, my sister lives in the general New York, New Jersey area, and it was taking people 6 hours to move a couple of miles, thanks to some snow, which does go to city management and state management. It really does, because it's not like they've never had snow in New York before. It's not like it snowed in LA or something, and then everybody's, oh my God, it's snowing. No, it's snowing in New York. This is something that has happened in the past, as in every single year. According to weather.com, conditions were improving for most in the Northeast Friday after Winter Storm Avery left at least 11 dead in accidents.
Avery!
Stranded commuters for up to 12 hours, knocking out power to hundreds of thousands and forcing some students to stay at school overnight. Thursday evening's commute became an absolute nightmare for drivers, especially in parts of New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Traffic sat still for hours on turnpikes and interstates and crawled at a snail's pace when it could move. New York drivers reported being stranded for up to 7 hours. So well done, all local officials. Obviously,
Yeah, local officials, you are buffoons. New York, New York. Stop spreading the news. Oh, I can't get there today. 'Cause they didn't clean the streets with salt and a snowblower. So they can't clear the roads and get the news out. New York, New York.
any more passengers about 5:30 p.m. because it was so overcrowded. I know I had heard from my sister who lives in the area that there was a wedding that was legitimately people showed up to the weather. This does raise some broader.
Only 6 people showed up. Maybe the bride just wasn't good enough, Ben. Maybe it wasn't the snow. This just wasn't going to do the snow to go to the wedding. Sorry, I'm not going to go to the wedding. I was only fake going anyways, and now the snow, I'm definitely not going. Look at the bride, is an ugly duckling. I'm not going.
Just as the Saffir Simpson.
She was one of the brides featured on Bridezillas on an older episode.
Was created by policy of the National Weather Service to rank high-impact northeast storms. The scale has 5 categories, and the highest category storm has been increasing rapidly. This is why you've seen a lot of people, when they talk about climate change, instead of talking about global warming per se, they start talking instead about climate radicalism, basically.
Climate radicalism, yeah, man.
Maybe actually experiencing a major cooling occurrence. I mean, we just don't know. Right? Arctic temperatures and Arctic ice extent varies in a predictable 60 to 70 year cycle. The greatest warming has been happening in the Arctic region. That can produce a weaker, less stable jet stream, allowing frigid air to dive further south to mix with the warmer oceans to trigger more potential snow events. It's all cyclical. This is according to Barry Burbank.
It's a sicko.
This is up to local government to solve, and obviously they're not doing an appropriate job in doing so. Okay. Meanwhile, there's a in the Republican caucus to ignore the results of what is now amounting to a blue wave in the House. Overall, what we've watched unrolling in slow fashion since the 2018 election.
You're right, Ben. There is a blue wave. You're just wrong as far as the reason why, Ben. I'll let you keep talking and making an ass out of yourself trying to explain why.
Save one went red. In this last election cycle, every single congressional district in Orange County went blue. Some people are attributing that to the influx of Latino immigrants who are coming from areas south of the border. And the idea is that because of President Reagan's amnesty and changing demographics in Orange County, that's why you've seen all this. That doesn't explain why Texas has stayed red, even though the demographics of Texas have shifted pretty radically Instead, you have to assume that blue turnout was really high, and suburban Republicans are not very fond of President Trump. And this is serious.
Wrong, Ben. It has nothing to do with that. The illegals are moving from California because they don't like the taxes to Texas, and they're voting against their interests, but they're bringing their culture from California / Mexico to Texas. And yes, Ted Cruz barely won because a lot of people voted for the Democrat that is a rhino Democrats that are rhino legals from Mexico, Ben. It is an immigration issue. You're wrong, Ben Shapiro. I thought you were smart in that. Then you graduated at 16 and got into college 2 years early. How come you're so dumb, Ben Shapiro? Come on, Ben. It is immigration. It is demographics. You call Mark Levin a liar? Mark Levin, you know, the gray one? You know, undisclosed location from a bunker? From an undisclosed location. It's the leader of it. Mark Levin said it has to do with illegal immigration. It has to do with the demographics changing, and more voters are voting left because of the illegal immigration. That's why we're losing our country because of rhino immigrants.
A lot of suburban Republicans actually voted for Democrats in the last election cycle, which I think is unthinkable. But that's what happened in Arizona, right? Kristen Sinema is the new senator from Arizona because 14% of registered Republicans in the state voted for a woman who said in 2003 that she didn't mind if Americans joined the Taliban. That is because Kristen Sinema actually ran a moderate campaign. And Kristen Sinema said that she would negotiate on...
They're rhinos anyways. They're rhino Republicans. They weren't true conservatives, Ben. Get it through your dick skull. They're not true conservatives. They were not true red rhino anyways. They're rhinos.
And doubling down on what brought us here is not necessarily...
They're rhinos, Ben Shapiro. They weren't really conservatives anyways. It has nothing to do with Trump and his tweets. It has nothing to do with them not liking Trump, Ben Shapiro. How many times are there? Republicans are freaking rhinos. They're not true conservatives. And then they're and vote into Republican primaries, and the illegals are all voting Democrats or rhino Republicans. That's more rhinos.
First, you're going to have to go over to dailywire.com. For $9.99 a month, subscribe to Daily
So
Wire.
sorry, Ben, but you're wrong, Benny boy. Why are you so stupid, Ben? Thought you were so smart.
If you get your subscription, then you won't...
Going to the education and how you blew through 16. I thought you'd be smart in this, Ben Shapiro. You dumbass.
15 minutes of episode 7, titled The Secret of Horror Mansion, also known as dailywire.com.
Alright, or maybe it's Ben Shapiro's dungeon house.
So if Republicans refuse to change course, they would, of course, actually have a serious shot at George. Nancy Pelosi says that she has overwhelming support to be Speaker. One of the things that's so fascinating about our politics right now is that both parties seem like they are radicalizing, but the leadership is indeed in 2006, and then she was booted in 2010, and now she's back in 2018. Right? She's been majority leader, majority leader again in the House for Republicans. Every time they boot somebody, it's just the next person in line who gets the job. So the new House minority leader is going to be Kevin McCarthy, who was sort of next in line after Paul Ryan. It didn't turn out to be any of the other candidates who were up for it. Jim Jordan was the one from Ohio who was sort of up for it. He only won 43 votes. So the parties tend to maintain their leadership, which suggests that party leadership is basically in the sway of the base. So if they're radicalizing, it's more about the base than it is about the leadership. In other words, it's the Democratic base driving Nancy Pelosi, and not necessarily the other way around. Here's Nancy Pelosi announcing she has overwhelming support to be Speaker.
I have overwhelming support in my caucus to be Speaker of the
To be
House.
in my
And
caucus.
Many people in our caucus.
In our
who,
caucus.
could serve in this capacity. I happen to think that at this point, I'm the best person for that.
Okay, so she's going to stick around. And as I said yesterday, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, who's going to be one of the kind of new leaders in the House, she is because she's turning out to be a pretty clever politician in her own right. Part of that is helped by the fact that Republicans are attacking her in the dumbest possible way. There was a tweet yesterday that, got ratioed in epic fashion. For people who don't follow Twitter, a ratioing is when more people comment on your tweet than like your tweet. Okay, in this particular case, this tweet received something like 20,000 comments and about 100 likes. Okay, it just got destroyed in epic fashion. Eddie Scary who works for the Washington Examiner.
Who cares, Ben? I don't give a damn about that superficial stuff. Who cares how many people liked it or commented?
Says they took just now. I'll tell you something. That jacket and coat don't look like a girl who struggles. I mean, I'm not sure what she should be wearing exactly, like a barrel with suspenders. Like she's wearing what looks like a fairly normal skirt suit. I'm not sure why she's supposed to be dressed like a hobo or something. And I know a lot of people who are lower middle income who still dress decently. So that of course is an idiotic attack. Like, just attack her ideas. Her ideas are dumb enough. You don't have to attack her wardrobe. It's really silly. You know, a few weeks ago it was different when she was wearing like legitimate $1,000 jackets while posing on a stoop in the Bronx. I mean, that's just kind of ridiculous. But you know, to attack like the fact that she's dressed okay while she's walking through Congress is really silly. Nonetheless, Ocasio-Cortez.
Who cares? Why you waste your time with this, Ben? This is just a waste of time. It's a bright, shiny object, Ben. Why would you waste your time with this stupid nonsense? No one cares about Cortez or what she wears, and why you bring it up, Ben, if you don't care? If it's stupid, why even call it out? You just ignore it. It's low-hanging fruit, Ben. It's a bright, shiny object, Ben.
Said that his committee and other existing
Stupid Ben.
in the House could take on the issue aggressively, but a bunch of other progressive incoming lawmakers fought back. They said they ran on the issue and they needed to start a Green New Deal, and they want a new. And they said that they want a new climate panel.
They want the new. They want the new. They want the new. They want the new.
I mean, I didn't share a conversation. I did say hello, and he was very kind. So Ocasio-Cortez knows where her bread is buttered with the House leaders.
She knows where her bread is buttered. Oh, great.
Again, she's proven herself.
Does the government pay for that bread and butter?
Watch out, Republicans, because you need to actually be going after her policies, not her political acumen. The only person who's successfully gone after her political acumen sits behind this desk. When she suggested that I catcalled her after I said maybe we should have a discussion. In any case, another big story out today. The Atlantic has a new long piece about why these should be boom times for sex, because the number of Americans who morally disapprove of sex outside of marriage is at an all-time low. New cases of HIV are at an all-time low. Most women can get birth control for free and the morning after pill without a prescription. And yet, American teenagers
And yet.
For the relief of many parents, educators, and clergy members who care about the health and well-being of young people, teens are launching their sex lives later. From 1991 to 2017, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's Youth Risk Behavior Survey found the percentage of high school students who had intercourse dropped from 54% to 40%. So sex has gone from something most high school students had experienced to something that most haven't. And that's not because they're substituting of sex. Just to a third of its modern high. So why is all of this happening? Why is all of this happening? Well, the general answer, honestly, is that pornography has taken over. Okay, this is the real answer, is that people are staying home, people are not getting involved in relationships. They're figuring it that if we have now disconnected sex from relationships, why bother even hanging out with a person?
Yeah, porno, Ben. Yeah, you sound like a guy that would watch porno. Yeah, you sound like a guy that watch porno, huh, Ben? Porno. Yeah, right, Ben.
The Atlantic is worried about less sex as opposed to later relationships. They really
Yeah, you might need to watch it to get some tips on how to go down low.
I want to explain that. So let's talk about this. It used to be that sex and relationships, my sex life and my relationship with my wife were united, right? I didn't have sex
We're united.
with my wife, which used to be
Oh.
and that was good because
What,
it let
Ben?
people to get married younger, and let people have children younger, and
Children younger.
and then they were actually having a fair bit of sex, because it turns out that married people on average do have more sex than non-married people. And then the left said, you know what? Let's disconnect sex from relationships. Sex doesn't have to be about marriage. It doesn't have to be about love.
Sex don't have to be about marriage. Marriage don't have to be about sex.
Because in the immediate aftermath of that social move, everybody's like, okay, let's get our rocks off. Let's do this thing. And then it turns
Let's
out
get our rocks off. Yeah.
decided that it actually isn't that fulfilling to have random sex. And
Random sex with strangers. How would you know about that? You had sex in this bed, didn't think so.
And two, a bunch of young
I never had sex with a stranger. He was, I know that bitch was white. I didn't know that bitch was I white. The bitch.
was a commitment excitement out of it, and they also got more sex out of it. Once you disconnected sex and relationships, there's a inclination by men toward promiscuity. They don't want to engage in that same promiscuity. And if men can simply fantasize, then it turns out the rate of actual interaction between human beings is going to go down.
It's going to go
Social
down.
liberalism has not led to happiness.
Going to go down.
Has led to.
I gotta go down technique that Ben needs to know about.
There's a great quote from this piece from a particular scholar saying basically
saying what, Ben?
skills. We have no social skills because we hook up. This is exactly right. Right, people.
Yeah, we hook up. Yeah, everyone's hooking up, baby. It's hook up culture. Yep, you're right, Ben. On this, you're actually right. Ding, 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 ding. Ben actually is right. Give him a cookie. Ding, 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 bing, 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 bing.
So, if you watch old movies, the idea was that the culmination of the movie would be someone says, "I love you," and then you slowly pan to the curtains, right? That was always how it worked in the old movies.
That's always how it looked in the old movies.
Somebody would say, "I love you," pan to the curtains. Now, it's you show the full sex scene, and then the next morning someone awkwardly says, "I love you," and then somebody gets offended and leaves. Well, that reversal has not been good for men or women, because, particularly for women, sex is deeply connected with commitment and emotional intimacy. And for men, if you disconnect those things, then it's just a question of how often they can get their rocks off, and it turns out it's a lot easier to
The rocks off.
sitting in your basement
The rocks off.
watching porn.
Everyone's just about getting the rocks off. No one's about love anymore. Oh my God. We're not trying to get married anymore. We're not trying to build a relationship, a courtship. Oh my God. Oh my God.
It's unhappiness that's leading to lack of sex. Right? It's lack of
I
relationship.
didn't know that bitch was horny. I didn't know that bitch was horny.
Without all of those
I
things,
didn't
it's
know.
another biological function. This is like saying people are eating less than they used to. Why is that so terrible? Well, I mean,
Well.
it's not inherently terrible, is the answer. People having sex less than they used to is not inherently terrible. What is inherently terrible is people being depressed, people being upset.
Being depressed, being upset.
Loneliness.
Maybe they got done watching that Ben Shapiro show. Maybe that's why they're upset.
It requires the idea that you get together with people who you have an obligation to beyond merely your own pleasure. And
Your own pleasure? Beyond your own pleasure? Is that what's happening, Ben? I didn't know that. Thanks for educating me.
I've been doing. You want to restore happiness? You want to restore healthy sex lives to people? Restore emotional intimacy, restore connection, restore commitment, restore all of these things, and you'll make people happy. And yes, the rates of sex will go back up as a byproduct. And all of that will be good, because then sex will be had within a healthy context and not an unhealthy context. Okay, time for some mailbag. So let's see.
I don't want to hear the mailbag.
Hi, Ben. What circumstances or events do you think would be severe enough to warrant